All right, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube world, this is Barnon11970, and as always, I thank you guys for watching my video. All right, guys, I thought I was going to wait on this kind of video about my evaluation of Bitcoins. Now, I've seen a couple of things where I think I am confident enough to make an honest opinion of how I feel about Bitcoins. So I'm keeping this completely honest. I am keeping it real. So the gold and silver community, I want you to realize what I'm saying for what it is, and the Bitcoin community, I want you to see it for what it is. This is straightforward. This is not influenced. The reason I was able to check into Bitcoins a little deeper, because I was never going to purchase any Bitcoins, is there were 7 people that were kind enough to donate some of their Bitcoins to me so I can actually get an inside perspective of how this works. Excuse me. So for that, I would like to thank them. That was very generous of them, and I appreciate that. So I have a total of 2.3 Bitcoins. I was able to check on things. Now, the one thing that I want to say straight off the bat, where myself and others were mistaken, is that Bitcoins are, by definition, not a fiat currency. Definition of a fiat currency is when a government, basically in a nutshell, when a government says something is money, that's fiat. So when it's not backed by gold, when it's not backed by anything to basically justify the limitation of printing, and they just say, here, this is money, we're going to make as much as we want, that's the definition of fiat in a nutshell. So with that definition, Bitcoins are not fiat. So I was mistaken, and because, like I said, my integrity is something I take a lot of pride in, I am never afraid to admit when I'm wrong. Okay, with that being said, there is the ability to be able to buy physical silver with your Bitcoins. There is a website, it's called, I think it's pronounced Magi Metals, that actually do allow you to buy physical gold and silver with your Bitcoins. And of course, I will post a link on that. So to me, that is a beneficial thing. If you can take Bitcoins and actually buy physical gold and silver with it, which is what I will be doing with the donations that were given to me. So thank you for that opportunity. The one thing I will say is a downside to Bitcoins is its volatility. There is some extreme volatility. And what I've noticed is every literally 2 or 3 seconds, because I tried to reload the pages to see how quick the prices change. And it's almost literally every 3 seconds you see a price change. A couple of cents here and there wouldn't be a big deal. But I'll give you an example of 2 scenarios where this could really pose problems and distrust. The 2.30 Bitcoins comes out to roughly about $109. Sometimes it'd be 107, sometimes it'd be 108. Not a major big deal. One time I reloaded, it was down to $90. That to me is a big drop. So I actually reloaded it again to see maybe if there was an error. It stayed that way 2 or 3 reloads. Went back up to $109. Then I reloaded it again at one point. It went down to $40. So that is a very bad situation when it comes to purchasing. Because just imagine if you were about to purchase something with your Bitcoins and you had a certain amount of money in your wallet. And as you're typing in to pay for it all, you hit enter and find out that your value went down more than half. To me, that amount of volatility will take away the confidence that a lot of people will have in the currency. Because I can understand if there's a penny here and there, and like you see gold will drop $5 or $10 in a day, and you'll have silver drop between 10 and 20 cents in a day. Just imagine if gold was $1,500 one day and $750 the next. That's a big drop. So the volatility issue is a concern, especially for people who are not into Bitcoins or have never heard of them before. That could scare the people as a whole out of wanting to use Bitcoins. So there are positives and negatives in everything. And we do have to keep that in perspective. So I hope the gold and silver people see that I am keeping this real and I am keeping it honest. And I hope the Bitcoin people will see that I'm not trying to bash Bitcoins. I'm trying to keep it real. There are pluses and minuses. So overall, I give Bitcoins um, a better review than I originally would have thought. And I thank the people who actually were kind enough to donate a few Bitcoins for me to actually check into how it actually works. It is convenient. I can see it as being addicting. But I honestly would still stay away from it in the long run. And I'll tell you why. In a scenario where there is a shutdown, where there are bank runs, or there is some kind of war, or some kind of electrical problem, getting your Bitcoins, because you cannot hold them in your hand, is a very dangerous scenario to be in when it comes to money. And I say this not just in Bitcoins. There was a person that was talking about another type of gold-based currency where you can put it in a vault and they will hold on to it. Again, I said the same thing. If you can't hold it in your hand and there are problems, you could end up not being able to get access to your money. I just don't trust other people, except for family members, to be able to hold on to something of mine that has value. So that's where we all have to be careful. And I'll make a suggestion to some of the people in the Bitcoin community. Now, you see gold and silver has dipped, and I really think there might be another dip coming on the 22nd or the 23rd. I've been getting a lot of confirmation about this. Now, you see Bitcoins at a very high level. If you bought in Bitcoins under $20, it's almost a no-brainer to actually take those Bitcoins at the current level they're at now, while they have purchasing power and good purchasing power, buy physical silver with them, and then wait and see and hope there is another Bitcoin drop and buy again at a discounted price. We can actually, both in the gold and silver community and the Bitcoin community, actually use this to our advantage to help doubly fight against the Fed and the banks. Because just imagine if you bought your Bitcoins at 15 cents or even $5 or even $10. They're worth now in the upper 40s. Silver is, because it's manipulated by those very same banks because of the paper price, you turn around and take all of the profits, buying the silver at a discounted price where it's physically delivered to your home and you take it out of circulation. Just imagine what damage we can do to the Fed and to the banks. Because then, if there's another crash in the Bitcoin community, and you have already sold and bought your physical silver, you could buy again low, watch it hopefully rise up again. They're still manipulating the gold and silver for the time being. Have the wash, rinse, and repeat. So that could be very advantageous to people, and a way to actually have us all unite, Bitcoin community, gold and silver community, to help actually work together and fight off the Fed. So I'll tell you right now, at $47, I think Bitcoin is a little too pricey considering how its record shows its value has been to purchase right now. And that's why they trick you into using emotion to get people to invest when it's at its peak. Wait until there's major dips before you purchase. So the only reason I have a couple of Bitcoins is because of the fact that people donated them. And again, I appreciate that. But if there was ever a crash, I might consider, if it went down to 10 cents or $1, getting a few of them. So this way, if it does rise back up again, turning around and buying massive amounts of silver with basically money I did not even have, which to me is a great thing. So I want people to understand we all need to work together. We can't have this hatred towards each other. We can't have the negativity. We may not have to agree, but we can do it in a way that is more constructive. And I will take firm responsibility for that. Like My first two videos about Bitcoin, I was warning people to be careful because there might be a dip. Then after so many people were telling me I'm an idiot and I'm a moron, I don't know what I'm talking about, I got defensive and made a video basically saying, here, you want to hear what it feels like. We shouldn't put each other on the defensive. Gold and silver people, Bitcoin people should be working together. If I have the choice of the two, if a gun was pointed to my head and said, you have a choice, either physical gold and silver or Bitcoins, which would you choose? I would pick physical gold and silver because of the fact that it has tested the test of time. It has been used as real money. It has been used for banks to store wealth, for countries to store wealth, and it is something you could physically hold in your hand. So if there is a crap hits the fan scenario and everything shuts down, I have it in my possession. With Bitcoins, it is a good potential. It has the ability to be promising if we had an uncorrupt government. And I can see it's addicting, and you can use it to do things like buy actual physical metal. So I do see the pluses, but the negatives scare me. So I really want people in the Bitcoin community not base themselves on blindsided emotion. Because I'll say right now, I am keeping this honest, I'm using my integrity, and I'm giving an opinion of what I see based on more information that was provided to me by some of the more considerate people in the Bitcoin community. If you see that still as an attack, then you are basing what you are saying on pure emotion because I'm not agreeing with what you believed in. It also shows you put all your eggs in one basket and you become a follower. Don't become a follower. Be open to things because trust me, before somebody was donating those Bitcoins to me, I did not believe in Bitcoins at all. I have a better view of Bitcoins now, but I still would rather have physical gold and silver over anything at this point. That doesn't mean that I am bashing Bitcoins. I'm not saying it's garbage. I'm just saying in a shit hits the fan scenario, I would rather have something I can hold in my hand than something that has been untested. And for some people to say the government cannot hack into or control or do anything to a computer-based program is being naive. And I don't mean that insulting, because I'll give you a prime example. You have to research history, because a lot of people have been saying I have to research things, which is true, but other people do as well. Because if you look at things like the Executive Order 11110, that was supposed to be signed into law by JFK, John F. Kennedy. Executive Order 11110, in a nutshell, was basically trying to get us off the Federal Reserve notes and creating our own currency. And guess what? They had them executed. Look what they do to countries. Gaddafi, who was not the terrorist we were told, so don't believe everything you're told, he actually, the reason he was murdered is because of the fact, among other things about what he had in his country as far as things like lithium and oil and things like that, he was going to start his own currency based on the fact that it was backed by gold. That would challenge and possibly destroy the dollar. So they had him murdered. So we have to be very careful. We can't have this untouchable arrogance, because that's not going to help you in the long run. Because remember a boat called the Titanic? Remember how the people who created the Titanic were claiming with their arrogance that it is unsinkable? Well, not only was it sinkable, and it did sink, it sank on its first and only voyage. So we have to be very careful and we have to be realistic. And that's why I'm making this review right now. Because I want people on both sides to see that we can work together and use these things to our advantage. But we cannot be blindsidedly basing our decisions on opinion. I've learned that. We all need to learn that. So to be honest, if somebody after watching this video from the Bitcoin or the gold and silver community thinks I am either a traitor or somebody who hates Bitcoins and I'm just being a hater, then you're just basing everything on emotion, and obviously I can't get through to those people. The reasonable people who can actually see it from the point of view that I'm talking about can understand what I'm saying. And also hopefully this will restore some faith in some people about me, that I cannot be influenced by being bought. I mean, they were nice people. Don't get me wrong. They were nice people to donate those bitcoins, and I thoroughly appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. But I wasn't going to say, okay, these people gave me this donation. Now I'm going to give a favorable review based on that. That is wrong, and a lot of people do that. They base on the fact of their advertisements or people giving them money. Look what our politicians do. They pass laws not based on what's right or what's good for the people. It's who gave them the most money. So hopefully this will restore some faith. I know that the Bitcoin community will not like the fact that I still do not 100% agree with Bitcoins, but at least they can see I am being fair, I am being honest, and I've corrected a mistake that I myself admit that I made. So hopefully that will be good enough, but I guess I'll have to wait and see for the comments. Because as you see on my last video about what to store besides gold and other money, I said things like food and water. I think one or two people thumbed it down, so I guess they don't like food and water. So, you know, sometimes you can't please anybody. I get some haters. That's part of life. It's nothing I can worry about. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully this will be educational to the gold and silver community, and hopefully this will be a little bit of an eye-opener for the Bitcoin community. Bitcoins, to me, are a good idea if we didn't have the corrupt government. It's not untouchable, and the volatility is a concern when it talks about the average person out there who would be scared away from the price fluctuations that dramatic. Plus it being a computerized generated system, it's not something you can hold in your hand. So in a very bad situation where there's a bank run, where there's electricity shutdowns, that could make your collection of money or purchasing power difficult at the least. All right, guys, hopefully this is something you will both be happy with. Thank you very much for watching. Leave your comments. Please subscribe. And guys, if you're going to comment, be nice. Is it so difficult in this world for us to be civil human beings? I don't ask that you have to kiss my ass or agree with everything I say. If you disagree, educate us. Don't just say, you don't know what you're talking about, you're an idiot, you're a shill, you're blah, blah, blah. Let's all be adults, even if we're not adults at this point, and talk civilly. If we can't all get along and work together, we are always going to be controlled by the ones that do. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.